wanted to be the security guy. He claimed he was a security guy.
Welcome to Security Guy Radio, sir. What's your name?
My name is Richard Brent.
What's the name of your company, Richard?
Company is called Luro Electronics.
Say it again. I'll pronounce it. It's Luro.
Luro,
Okay.
Not LaRue.
That's what I was going to say.
It's interesting, Chuck, because it was my uncle's name, Lewis, and my aunt's name, Rose, and in 1979, they formed the company. They went and tore the sheets. They got divorced 1 year later. The company's been around for 37 years.
That's amazing. I like to hear stories about that. Tell us how you came to run the company. That's a very interesting story.
Thank you. I had agreed when I was 31 years old and my uncle was 47 that I'd be the executor of his estate. I didn't know what that meant. Sure, Lou, we'll live forever. No problem, I said. July 26, 2009, I got a phone call. It's on a Sunday, always happens to be, from my mom who said, Lou's died. And I went, oh. Thought about it for a while, and I decided that what I really needed to do was go look at the envelope that was in the filing cabinet. Pulled it out.
Now, how many years later had you?
28 years.
20 years. Wow, yeah. Forget about that.
So I'm like, uh-oh, what's this thing even say? I have no idea. I'm now damn near 60 years old, and I'm opening up this envelope, and congratulations, you're the executor of an estate. And I thought, wow, I have a good job in Washington, D.C. I was a director of government affairs for a division of Caterpillar and doing well, enjoyed my work. And I thought, what do I do? So I called up the next day and I said to the general manager, Lillian, am I still in this thing? And she said, oh, yeah, you're still there. In fact, he redid it in 97. Your name's still in it. And I thought, oh, all right. I guess I have an obligation to my uncle.
Now, did you know what he did? What his company did?
No.
Exactly?
Honest to God, he would come to my mother's house for dinner. He wouldn't talk much to any of us, except it was sailing or work, and none of us cared about his work.
Well, he was a listening guy, wasn't he? There you go.
Very astute. All right, counselor. So I didn't know much about him, and now I'm thrust into, I better show up and meet the beneficiaries I thought were my cousins. I thought I only had 2 cousins. I found out I had 3, and that the third cousin had 5 kids, and they had 5 kids. So there are 19 beneficiaries. Imagine a company where you have no shareholders, and all of a sudden you have 19 shareholders, and they all want to know, where's the check?
Right.
And I said to them, there's no check, guys. This company literally is on its edge. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try and run the company, turn it around, make it financially viable, and then I'm out. I'll go retire when I'm 62. Well, I'll be 67 this year. We haven't quite done it yet. The company has done well. We've doubled our business. We've brought some innovative new products on board.
What did it start out as? What was his specialty back in the day when he began?
Very interesting, and a good question. My uncle had a kind of a social responsibility bone in his body, and he started out making microphones for Child Protective Services.
That's very interesting.
The theory was this: kids aren't going to talk to adults about what happened to them,
right?
But they're going to talk to a teddy bear. So my uncle would put microphones inside teddy bears, specially adapted microphones with good amplifiers, and they put them in the corner of the room. So the adults would leave the room, and little Susie would walk over and said, I don't know why my uncle beat me. She's talking to the teddy bear.
Right.
Child Protective Services got it. Family Services took care of the problem, and so it grew from there. We have a lot of our products are in interview rooms. We have actually now over 800,000 microphones in 52 countries.
800,000
And it starts from my uncle believing in taking care of people.
And when was that started?
1979.
So that was pretty innovative back then.
Very. In fact, let me give you one more on Lou, because I was so impressed. When I showed up in July of 2009, I went open his desk drawer, looking around, what do I got to work with here? And he had a ticket to the 1967 Beatles concert at the stadium in Los Angeles, and found out he was the audio tech behind the scenes for the Beatles concert. So I thought, man, I'm going to have a ticket to the Beatles concert. August 17th, 1969. My cousin showed up, and the first thing he said to me, my dad had a ticket. Did you happen to find it? And I went, oh, drat. So now my cousin has the ticket, and I've got a
Yeah.
business to run.
Very interesting. So you've taken it, or he started going in the direction of gunshot recognition. How do we get into gunshot recognition? It's a natural progression for the company.
Yes.
Is that your idea?
I wish to say it was. I'd like to think of myself as more of an astute reader than the guy that can write the book. So 4 years ago, I met the principal of the company Sound Intelligence. We were at a conference together, and I said, it's a logical extension from good audio capture. You got to have a good mic to
Right.
hear what, and then what do you do with the sound once you capture it? What about gunshots? What about aggression detection? Someone acting out, I'm a little guy, they're going to punch me out. I want some help. So we started to talk to Mr. Van der Vorst about this. And last year, we, as they say, inked the deal. And Sound Intelligence and Lura Electronics worked together to bring audio analytics to the marketplace.
Now, I'm fascinated by this. I have been playing radio since I was a kid. And I had an old tape-to-tape recorder when I was 12. I used to make up radio shows. I was in the sound union briefly when I was young.
Ampex, reel to reel.
Yeah, I just think sound is so much more interesting than video because you need to use your imagination. You know, old radio shows that our parents grew up with, you fill in the blanks with your imagination, right? So when I see the business progressing towards audio analytics, I'm happy to hear it because really we see more things visually and learn that way, but hearing is more subtle.
Right.
And if you can tell me that a gun just went off and it's a Colt 45 and it's a Python and it's whatever, that information is invaluable in active shooter situations, in child molestation, all those kind of things you're talking about. It's amazing stuff.
Well, and what I think about, Chuck, is that, look at what happened in San Bernardino, a tragic incident. If we knew what kind of firearm that these people were moving, the law enforcement officers might have been better protected.
Exactly.
They might have known that, these guys had two inappropriate AK-47s on their possession.
Now, sound is so specific that it's like a fingerprint, isn't it?
Yes,
Voice
it is.
detection. My voice is my voice.
That's correct.
And people can imitate me. And when we hear impersonators imitating people's voices, it's on the computer. It's not the same voice at all. It's not even
Correct.
close, but it just sounds to our ear
Correct.
like that.
And what I want to show you is on the, if you will, the visualization of what you just said, we can actually watch a spectrometer of the voice. And we can see all the highs and lows and the norms and the abnorm on how your voice behaves. So what we do is we're not listening for words.
Right. That's right.
We're listening for my voice clenches up and I'm not happy and I get very upset. And when I do, I actually go beyond the spectrum.
Right.
And in fact, trigger an alarm.
Now, you mentioned aggression recognition. That has to do with, like you said, not words, not like F you, buddy, I'm going to do something, but your raising of your voice. Do you need a baseline? Do I need a baseline of people in a work environment's normal voices to detect my different voice? Or can I go into an environment cold? Like, let's say at the show somebody started yelling. I assume decibel is one of the readings. This
Correct.
guy's voice is louder than everybody's.
Correct.
One indication. What would another indication be?
Length of time.
Oh,
If I, and without doing this in your microphone, if I went, hey, real quick,
right.
it's just a one shot. If I go, hey,
Oh, you're rising. Oh, look, the light just came on. Oh, look what you did.
I've triggered.
You've triggered it. You know, it was loud, but to my ear, it wasn't
No.
super loud.
But what it
Just
says
enough.
is something abnormal is going on.
Right.
We're looking for the abnormal. When we get into gunshot detection, the gunshot's abnormal, if you will.
Sure.
No one's expecting that supersonic sound to pierce at any given
in
time.
any environment. And let me look back on my sound technician training. An airplane, a gunshot, 100 decibels, right? That starts to hurt your ear or something like that?
Yeah. Even actually a little bit lower. But what's interesting about this is, again, it's not just the loudness of the sound.
Right.
It's also the frequency. It's the response. I'm going to walk you over in a minute to our demonstration, if you will. The analytic in process. It's listening now. It's on all the time.
Right. Yeah, I'm
The
looking
only
at the screen. We'll show it in a second. It's taking all these sounds.
Right,
and
but
record
it's
them.
not. It looks sort of normal,
Right.
as you can see. It's kind of a flat. There's a yellow line across the screen, and most of the sounds are below that line. We can set the line to whether it's a very quiet room or it's a very loud room because we don't want false signals.
Oh, yeah. It's very loud here.
Right.
And the bass line is going to be, ambient
So
background
I
noise.
have to set
What's
my
louder, yeah.
my threshold level higher than ambient.
Now, can it actually tell me the caliber of the gun? Close?
Close.
Because a 22 is a lot quieter than a 44 Magnum.
Yeah, and it's a tinnier sound, and
Right.
a 44 is a deeper sound, and a shotgun will blow you away. No pun
But a
intended.
gun's a gun. We know that.
That's right.
'Cause it's so loud.
And it's not a firecracker.
Oh,
And
tell me
it's-
why.
And it's not a car backfiring. They're unique. The sounds are unique.
Okay.
And I think, as you said, in your background as an audio technician, you can see it on the screen better than you can tell by the
Yeah.
human ear.
Now, tell me where this thing is deployed. What kind
Well,
of businesses? You can
very
name
good.
clients if you want to, but
Schools.
schools, right?
Maybe Sandy Hook wouldn't have happened if we'd had a good audio detection at the front gate. And then as soon as that went off, he couldn't have gotten another round off without Central Security being notified.
Right. It's all
So
about time.
campuses.
Yeah.
Campuses are huge. We also have them in malls. Till someone, if there's an incident at a mall, till someone hides, gets away, dials 911, precious time is lost. You want something that detects it immediately and immediately responds.
Now, how many cinches would I put at a school? I mean, just a ballpark. Couple dozen?
In a school, you might put small school and elementary school. You might put 5 to 7 of them. Campus like the University of California, at Los Angeles, you may have 500 of them.
Okay.
Depends on where.
let's
Think
say-
about the dorms.
I worked there as a cop.
Okay,
I know
so-
how big that place is.
Well, then think about all
you need
those
one
kids.
on every floor of the dorms, really, in a way.
When my parents sent me off to college, what I didn't understand was that they had an expectation of security. I'm going to a campus that's going to be safe, so I could focus on learning instead of
Right.
screwing off. So they take that as seriously today as they did then. They want to protect the students on campus. So the residential dorms, all the way to, how about the labs where research is being done?
Yeah.
Someone takes a secret out of the lab, they may be taking proprietary information, or they may be holding somebody at bay with a pistol. It may even be just an aggressive voice that says, hey, and once again, they go hand in hand.
Now, if we had a gunshot in a campus environment, is there software associated with this that says, hey, it's detector 42, that's located here on the map, and by the way, mathematically, it's within this parameter or something. I don't know.
Well, we do this actually, it's a little simpler.
Oh, good,
where-
because I'm kind of simple-minded. So
Well, and all of us, you start thinking about if we make this too complex
Can't
of a
be used.
software, most of us normal folks don't get it.
right.
What this is this is a device that says it's in zone 43, which is on the power pole over on the northeast side of campus.
Okay.
So when it goes off, I know it was in zone 43 at the power pole. And if I have a camera there, I can say, flash, lights came on, and I know it was a guy in a blue shirt that pulled the trigger.
And the closer to the sensor it is, the louder it is, which means it's probably physically closer to that area.
Well, and I'll give you one more that's fascinating. With the camera and an audio combined, then I can yell down at the guy, hey, you in the red shirt, why'd you fire off that round?
It's two-way.
It's two-way.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I can communicate to the environment. For example, I'm going to demonstrate to you audio aggression, and you're going to hear a siren go off. That could be a WAV file. Just think, what's the first thing you think of when something's gone wrong? You want someone to come to your rescue.
Right.
Batman.
Right.
Okay, he's coming. We're going to come get you. You can't do this on
So
my campus.
I'm a professor in the classroom, and I yell police at the top of my lungs. That thing's going off.
If you yelled it long enough.
Long. That's right. I forgot about the long part. Yeah.
Help, 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 police.
Right.
I don't
Now,
want to do it in the show, but
what about resistance to the application because of Big Brother fears? I don't want
Very
my
good.
classroom recorded,
perfect.
right? Especially
Two
on a
things.
campus.
Two things. It's excellent. Actually, more schools are now recording. Kids are absent from school that day. They can take the video and the recording of the classroom experience and send it home. You don't miss school anymore. Isn't that strange? You think
Oh,
about that.
interesting.
Okay, now let me go back. Teacher says, you can't listen to me. You're
Yeah.
invading my privacy. Well, in our country, thank God, our founding fathers were smart. They said, we have an expectation of privacy. None of us get privacy right off.
That's right.
But you have an expectation. If I tell you I'm going to listen to you, Chuck, you can say, to heck with you.
I'm not going to work
Take
here.
off your equipment and go somewhere else.
Right.
If on the other hand you say, I got nothing to hide. So think about it, I went to a baseball game and KNBC throws a mic in my face and says, "What'd you think about that ball?" And as soon as I talk, I've given up my privacy. They've got my
Well,
voice.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I worked at UCLA, UC system, and 25 years ago, I'm not sure they go for that.
Today,
culturally, see what I'm saying?
right.
Yeah.
Well, today's students sign, parent-teacher signs a relationship that says my kids are here. They're to be done no harm while they're here.
Right.
From time to time, we monitor the environment to ensure safety of our students. Go into a hospital, you sign a release in a sense.
Yeah.
Under the HIPAA laws, I can't share with anybody. If you get aggressive on the doctor, I need to get in and get the doctor
Right.
out of there before you pummel him.
Now, does this take up a lot of storage space and bandwidth?
No.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Because
you really have
WAV files are smaller. Or do
You're-
you go to MP3? WAV files you can do more with for analysis, right?
WAV files are so much smaller. So storage for the video industry is a big problem.
It is a big problem.
But it's not for an audio.
Okay.
We're a fraction of the
Yeah, see, when I
storage.
do my show, I record it in WAV. It's super high quality. But to cram it into the podcast, I put it to MP3. My ear can't quite tell the difference. But on the program, I know that I could do more with a WAV file.
Right.
So yours are all WAV.
They can be WAV or MP3.
And WAV's higher quality, but
Right.
still not a lot of storage space.
Right.
That's good.
Well, and a lot of it is, think about this. You don't necessarily have to record this, although our conditions for recording are such that 10 seconds before an event, the event, and 30 seconds after, we're saving the sound file. As opposed
okay.
to you're under continuous monitoring. Right now, we're not storing anything on our devices here. We only do that when an incident, an event has taken place.
Well, here's a question, though. And I just looked at a guy who has an artificial intelligence program that would plug into your system, which is plugged into another system, who would go through and look for anomalies, right? It learns what normal is.
right.
What if I've been recording something all week, and what I'm missing is an argument over here with two people that happen every day in class, but it's below the threshold level. Maybe I want to go back when we get the activation and find the archive on the pre-incident recordings and because you gotta yell a certain decibel to make it activate, right?
And duration.
Somebody activated it. Your cough activated it.
I guess I did. I didn't realize that. I'll try not to cough again.
That's right.
We, I'll get a funny story, but a true story. We were demonstrating this in Mexico, and a friend of mine is a Colombian of heritage, and I was showing Jurgen is his name, the aggression detection. He started to laugh and then he said, "Hold on for a second." And he went down the hall and he brought back another Hispanic fellow, and they started talking in rapid Spanish. I didn't understand it, and they were laughing. And Jurgen says to me, he says, "You can't sell this to a Colombian or to a Cuban." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because we're always loud and aggressive with each other." And you start to realize there's some cultures where loud, boisterous activity is normal.
That's absolutely true.
So we set sensors for the conditions under which this is being used.
So that's a baseline in itself. That's very interesting.
Exactly.
No,
So,
I saw this a lot in police work. I dealt with hundreds of cultures, right? And you can walk into a cultural situation where you think it's domestic violence, and they're just chatting,
right.
And I need to be able to read that and adjust my voice. If I go higher, they think I'm an aggressor,
Right.
right? So usually as a police officer, you came in softer. And it's very interesting. So that's a baseline in a way.
Well, and I'm kind of hoping you make a point that I want to reinforce from my perspective. I hope that the law enforcement sworn officers get that kind of training so that they understand that we're culturally different and that we have to work with that.
Back in the day, this is in the 80s, right? Yeah, we kind of did. But where you got the training was doing it on the street.
On the field.
And then you see cause and effect. And if you get your ass kicked because you came in and said, "Sit down and shut up," you didn't say, "Sit down and shut up again." Right? That's how you learn.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I think without going too far afield on this interview, police get a bad rap because they're only human beings. And they're trying to do their job as a sworn officer of the law to uphold it. And they walk into an environment, like you said, on the street, you don't know what's going to happen. So what we try to do with our aggression detection and gunshot detection is give them ammunition, give them information to make informed decisions.
I came up with an idea. could we deploy this in a tactical situation? Could SWAT take this into the field, I don't know, throw a microphone into a house, a wireless microphone or something, and listen and see what's going on?
The answer is yes, and it's been done for years.
Oh.
Not necessarily our equipment. We don't build a wireless microphone.
Okay.
But there are lots of situations. In fact, recently we heard from the city of Phoenix, who mobilized 14 different agencies' cameras to go under one system to monitor the Super Bowl.
Oh, interesting.
So
Integration.
it's in the field.
Yeah.
It's mobile. It's tactical. It's not strategic. And its whole idea is capture something before it gets out of hand.
Now, tell me about the legal applications. So, let's say I have this deployed in a city, and let's say it's a municipality, and it's New Year's Eve, and we know how many gunshots go off on New Year's Eve, right? Is it well-established probable cause to get an alert and respond? Is it established probable cause to say, I'm going to stop this person because that noise registered next to you, and we're going to make sure it's not you? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And an experience for me, and then my perspective. We were showing this gunshot detection to a city in, let's say, a country south of the United States.
Okay.
And we offered to them that they could do more than just gunshot. They could do aggression. And they said, we don't need the gunshot. We said, why not? They said, because they pop pistols all the time.
Oh, good point.
So it gets to the point where you can't tell anything because it's always happening.
Right.
With that in mind, I would like to think that in the United States, we're sensitive to gunshots. We're sensitive to, we've got to respond quickly as first responders and prevent it from getting out of hand. So be it a mobile tactical situation like a major sporting event, or be it, you're on the streets on a Saturday night and someone got out of hand, I would hope my officers are moving quickly to subdue the gunshots from becoming from a random occurrence to a regular happening.
Yeah, if you
event.
let it happen, it just keeps happening.
That's
right.
right.
The reason I ask is every year I come to these shows, and I find that the technology is ahead of the law, right? I mean, when they wrote laws about public disturbances, nobody
well
was
said.
thinking about gunshot detection.
No. Good, well said.
So if I hear it as a policeman, I have probable cause to respond. If somebody calls me, I have probable cause to respond, right? But if the electronic device alerts me, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's okay. I'm just throwing that out there.
One of the things that I think about a lot is, do I want to have this connected directly to the central police station and they dispatch out from there? It might be too much for them.
In
So
certain,
a lot of
certain
times-
areas, it could be, right.
So private sector security companies set up central station monitoring. And what they do is when they hear a gunshot in the premises that they're watching, they immediately notify the law enforcement officer in the community. It saves the law enforcement officer from going out on every random one because rolling out's expensive.
Well, and getting closer to solve it. Now, I'm in Burbank, great city, own police department, has 2 studios and 8-9 schools, right? Not a large deployment. What would the city of Burbank be spending if they're going to put this in schools and studios? Because you know what? If they could get a gunshot going off of Burbank High, boom, they can respond before anybody even calls them.
Okay. So you put me in the challenge.
Oh, ballpark.
Chuck.
Give me a ballpark.
I'll give you
All
a ballpark, but I got to say this first. We manufacture this product. We sell it through a distribution channel.
Oh, okay.
So the wholesale price and the retail price, wholesale set. I can tell you what a wholesale is for, but I won't do that here on.
Oh, that's
on
fine.
Blend.
That's fine. But I mean, it's
But let me
it's
give you the
doable.
random.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, I don't know what the integrator would charge, and there's a lot of time involved
Labor to
in
put it
laying
in,
it
right.
up, putting it up, setting the cabling, and everything. So that gets a little bit expensive. But the product itself is not expensive. It retails for around $3,000
For one
channel.
sensor.
One sensor.
That's very reasonable.
And it's also got a 5-year support system for that one
Right.
sensor. So let's say there's 5 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school. Do the math on I need 5 per high school and 3 per, it multiplies out and it's rather inexpensive. The challenge is the school district doesn't have enough money for books and art supplies. And now we're coming in and we're saying safety is important. So the school boards have to make smart decisions about where they spend the money in the long-term best interest of the children that they're going to school.
Yeah, I think that's a bunch of, let me use an Irish term, malarkey, all right, balderdash, because, we don't have enough money for books and pencils. Okay, first of all, I got one administrator for every teacher sitting on their ass doing nothing in most schools, okay? Let's get rid of some of those, and that'll pay for one system. And I can say this, not you, so nobody's going to get in trouble, right? You can find the money for it. They spend all kinds of money on fire drills and things like that. The last time somebody died of a fire in a school was when? Let's see, 19 never.
Hopefully,
Okay.
yeah, a long time
No,
ago.
it's in the last 50 years there hasn't been a fire in a school that I could find, right? So why are we doing fire drills and not gunshot drills? Why are we not doing active shooter drills, right? What they say is, it's the same as a fire drill. No. You want to march kids out in a single line like ducks in a shooting gallery? We don't want to do that.
I suspected that your audience is a national audience.
And worldwide, actually.
But I can remember when, as a young boy in elementary school, we were taught drop and roll under your desk because there may be an earthquake
Or a nuclear bomb.
or a nuclear bomb. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I can still remember that symbol.
Yeah.
Times have changed. I think today because unfortunately we have a high rate of gun ownership. That we're more at risk.
And I think if you don't put something like this in a school or a business, we're at a tipping point where we're going to be found liable for not doing it. Not a lawyer, never played one on TV, but I think that's where we're going because you have notice of these things and the technology is available, and it's not really a difficult business expense. See?
Let me. I'm going to go out on a limb here. This is first time I've ever said this in a public environment. As my company does well, I will set up a foundation, and the foundation will be giving away gunshot detection to community colleges around the United States. All they have to do is apply. Give me a good reason. Fill out the one piece of paper.
Yeah.
I'd send it to them. I can't believe that we allow the kind of activity at our community college with innocent kids getting shot and 10 times. Why didn't we get you the first time?
It's interesting to me, and that's an excellent point. I've gotten on the show, and I got about 55,000 listeners, and I've said, listen, if you want me to come to your school and teach your kids and teachers how not to get shot, it's free on me. Give me a call. I don't get any calls.
Here.
I know they're listening. So we have to overcome the cultural resistance. We have to find the decision maker who's afraid to say yes because he thinks if it doesn't work, he'll get sued. Well, that's what's going to happen if somebody gets killed. The lawsuit has nothing to do with it. Loss of life is irreplaceable. So I think we're close to it. And I find that all these shows, people have all the answers. Where are the decision makers to take the information? And that's where we're falling down right now. 10 years ago, we didn't have the answers.
Agreed.
We absolutely have the answers now. And I think that's an excellent outreach, and I hope people listen to it.
I hope to be successful enough at Luro to not only take care of the beneficiaries that my uncle left me responsible for, but that I can actually go out and give service to community. It's not that expensive, and boy, if I could save a life.
Yeah. Now, I got an idea for you. Ever thought of putting these in neighborhood watch programs, neighborhood areas, right? My block would love one of these. The only gunshots in the neighborhood would be mine because I get pissed at some drone flying in my backyard. But, you know what I'm saying?
We also have drone detection.
No way.
Unbelievable stuff.
Oh, you got to give it.
Like you said, the ear is an amazing tool.
The drone's a certain sound.
So this guy mapped the human ear.
Your partner.
His team, my partner, his team, PhDs out of the University of Delft, I think it was, mapped the human ear. So without trying to sound like a biology teacher, when your ear catches a sound, there's these little hairs that vibrate at a certain frequency, and that's how you know. Well, he's done that with this recording. We can actually tell what's going on at any given second, if you will.
Drones are going to be the next big problem, right? And there's a guy I saw, he wasn't here, I can't remember where it was. Anyway, he has a drone gun that shoots a net and takes this thing right out of the air. It's amazing. He's way ahead of the curve, right?
Whoa.
Because as soon as FedEx and Amazon start dropping packages and your neighbor tries to take a picture of your daughter in the backyard, you got to do something about it, right?
So if you,
amazing.
This is terrible, but there are drones that you can buy where the package, the box, has an image of the drone flying over your neighbor's house and she's sitting out sunning herself. I mean, this is not salient. This is not supposed to be for covert, stupid stuff.
Unintended consequences.
and I know it will happen. I can't do much about it.
Yeah.
You know, we send 2 labels with every product that we sell that says audio monitoring on premise. We tell people that are in the business as professionals to talk to their legal counsel, that if they're concerned at all about the rights to privacy or managing expectation, go check it out. We studied. We went out and spent a lot of money and had a deep study on every state in the union, Mexico, Canada, and the federal law on audio. So we know where we are in bounds, and we know how to counsel
Excellent.
our customers. We don't want our customers to be in trouble.
No, absolutely. Now, this neighborhood watch idea I'm thinking about,
Wow.
can we stick it? I guess we'd have to get rights from a telephone pole. And by the way, my sister in Portland sells rights to telephone poles. They actually sell those spaces. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, they're public. Hey, I want to put this on there. It's going to cost this much a month, right? Whatever it is you want to put on there, right?
This would be a public service.
It'd be a
to
public
put it up
service.
on
So
the-
I'm thinking, my street in Burbank has got one of these. How high does it have to be?
just out of human hands. We said
Okay.
we suggest about 20 feet.
Oh, that's
It
all.
can be
Okay.
about 15 feet, 20 feet.
So if you're going to try and get that block, a pole's better because you can see over all the houses with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
Exactly.
And when we one block, a telephone pole might handle 3 or 4 blocks. By the way, how far out would you recommend a
Depends
radius?
on the signal. In some situations, we can hear stuff as far as 1,000 feet away.
Really?
But now that's in an open field.
Oh,
Put
okay.
me inside downtown LA where I got buildings creating echoes.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
So we would say for the aggression detection, 50 feet,
Okay.
75 feet. We've demonstrated it further than that, but I'm not going to overpromise anything.
I'm thinking I should be your R&D team. I'm thinking of smaller units for homes for domestic violence recognition. Oh, now, husband, you raised your voice. Sorry.
Or,
Police are coming.
or
You know.
slow down, Sally. You can't smack me again with a baseball
No, I mean
bat.
it's kind of Big Brother stuff. But let's say, in a court order, you're trying to rehabilitate and you don't want to hit your wife or yell and scream. All right, we'll put one of that in the house, and you know what? It's gonna change your behavior really fast.
Yes, it will.
Right? And I tend to talk loudly because I'm on the radio. My wife says, "You're not on the air. Just do normal voice."
Chill it
It's
down.
hard for me to do it. It's not shouting; it's just big, right?
No, I hear you.
So this is really, I can see all kinds of applications. It's fascinating. So let's take a look at an output. How about that?
Well, and what I'd like to do is, with that, I'm pleased to show you. I'd like to ask Derek Vandervorst if he's in the locale, who is really the developer of this,
Yeah.
to help demonstrate how this works. So,
All right, great. Let's do it.
Okay. So, Chuck, as we were talking about earlier, talking about audio analytics, talking about sound intelligence, talking about aggression detection, gunshot, glass breaking, car alarm, really promulgates me to think I want to introduce you to the guy that really developed and stood behind the early days of this science. Standing next to me is Derek Vandervorst from Amersfoort, the Netherlands, who has been working on this for 16 years.
Wow.
Derek came from a very large electronics company and understood and saw immediately what older, supposedly smarter guys thought that they didn't think much of. Derek's taken a run with it. About 3-4 years ago, we met, and I said, boy, someday I want to put this in my stable of opportunities, products to sell. So today we are partners in this venture of audio analytics, and I'd like to turn the microphone over to Derek so that he can explain to you both a little bit about the technology and, most importantly, demonstrate to you and to your audience how this works.
Excellent.
So, Derek.
Derek,
Thank you,
thanks.
Richard. So what I'll do is I'll explain a little bit about what you're going to see. We do audio analytics, which means real-time analytics of the audio signal.
Real time. You're not looking at an archive from yesterday. You're doing it as it happens.
Real time.
All right.
It's an early warning system to get an operator to verify a situation and see if he needs to send in security guards.
Right.
And what we're showing here, we have 2 versions. One is a server-based version, which can take audio streams from all kinds of cameras and analyze the sound signal on a server.
Oh, yeah. But now you have a sound detection system, but if there's existing audio on existing camera systems,
We can
your
work with
software
that.
works. Excellent. Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
And the other option is that we work with a camera which has sufficient processing power to do the analytics on the camera. and then basically we can do even more.
Okay.
So what we have here is the live audio stream showing, and in colors you see the energy in the different frequency ranges.
Right.
And
So I
basically,
got a lot of background noise here.
yes,
That's coming across as kind of orange to me. Is that what I'm looking at?
yes,
And it looks like noise. Looks like snow or something.
it is,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit difficult clapping my hands with
Here,
the
I'll
mic
hold your
in my hand.
microphone. Go ahead. You're going to clap your hands? Oh, look at the spikes. All right.
So you see the spikes in the sound. You
Yeah.
see a lot of energy in all frequencies.
They're very distinct.
Very distinct.
Very easy to pick out. And watch this on YouTube so you can see the video on it. But I'm looking at a ticker take of orange snow going across the screen. And as he clapped, I had 3 red bars straight up and down go across.
Yes, and if I make a tone from low to high, you'll also see what happens.
All right.
Oh.
All right. So you started.
So you see my voice going.
it
up.
goes up. How interesting. Yeah.
So it actually shows the energy in the different frequencies.
Now I might be a guard sitting here watching this, and these could be pre-incident indicators for me. Something could be starting. Maybe people are starting an argument.
Well, to be honest, what you see now is mostly for configuration and installing the system.
All right.
When the system is live, the operator is not continuously watching this. But what is happening in the background, we're continuously analyzing the sound profile and classifying the sound and saying, hey, this was potential aggression, this was a gunshot, this was breaking glass.
Right.
And that's what you'll see is if I start screaming here, I'll do a little demo.
Okay.
And you'll see that there's a lot of energy in the disharmonic components, and that's what's actually triggering the alarm for aggression detection.
Now we're standing about. Where's the sensor, by the way?
It's over there.
Up on top. If you look to the left of the screen on YouTube video, I'll describe it as being 10 feet away from us.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay, there we go. Hey, man, hey, man, hey!
All right. So there's all this noise here at the show, and that picked out your voice.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because it's really looking at the sound pattern, and it's of course if it's very noisy, the distance you can cover with one microphone is shorter than if it's very quiet.
Sure.
But still, it's quite impressive what you can do with just one microphone.
Now, if a gunshot went off at this show, there's 20,000 people here, right? And a gunshot went off 500 feet from here. I'm thinking it's going to pick that up because that's it's much louder than
Yes,
your ambient sound pattern right now.
absolutely.
All right, interesting.
Yeah, and actually we have a little demo of that as well.
Okay, good.
So this is just it's a horn speaker.
You got a blowhorn and you have a gunshot programmed into there.
Yes.
Okay.
So
all right.
what I'll do is let me just switch to the gunshot.
All right, go ahead.
application.
So you're switching your software here to detect that, all right? Let me put the microphone up here so we can hear that on audio for
yes, so
our
I'll
podcast
play,
people.
Let me just make sure it's on the right. Okay, there we go. So
All right,
I'll
go
start play.
Very interesting. All right.
So that was the gunshot detector.
Yeah.
And in the same way, we can
And that
detect.
was not very loud, by the way.
No, I mean.
In other words, a real gunshot's louder. Oh, what do we do? Security guy radio was too loud. Sorry about that.
It's repeating the alarm. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Until somebody silences. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you set this for the demo to a certain level. You configured the software for the show right now because we got to account for all this background noise, right?
Correct.
All right, and that gunshot happened to be louder than the background noise.
Yeah, but actually, what is the software has a dynamic background model, which is adapting to the average noise level. So.
It's not a fixed. It adapts as things change.
Yes.
Okay.
So during rush hour, when it's very busy and very noisy, it will automatically move up to the new background noise level,
Right.
and not trigger a lot of false alarms.
Oh, good. All right.
When it's getting quieter, it goes down again, and of course your range gets further.
Now,
as it gets quiet.
I don't know if the technology is here yet, but can we tell the difference between a 44 Magnum and a 22 caliber?
Well, if you have a controlled environment like a shooting range,
Right.
or a lab, where you have a fixed distance between the microphone and the gun, you can actually do that.
Right.
But in reality, you never have that. So a certain large caliber gun, which is much further away from the microphone,
Oh,
may
it'll sound small.
very similar
Yeah.
to a smaller gun, which is closer to
Okay.
the microphone. So yes, in a lab situation where everything's controlled, you can do that. But in reality, it's not necessarily very useful to know that right there and then. You want to know if there's a gunshot.
But we need to know it's a gun. And now if there's rapid fire, we would know that may be a machine gun.
Oh yeah,
It
sure,
may be automatic.
Sure. Yes.
And that's useful. But it does know the difference between a gunshot and a backfire in a car.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, I mean,
Well, but isn't a gunshot decibel so much higher than a car that it couldn't be a car?
well, again, you don't know what distance the gunshot
Oh, the
is
distance thing. Yeah,
from,
yeah. Okay.
from the microphone.
Yeah, controlled
So-
environments you would.
So there will be false alarms.
Yeah.
So
That's
what
okay though. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Well, you need to make sure that it's very easy to verify an alarm.
Right.
And if you present the audio and video of the corresponding camera, an operator can very quickly verify whether this was just some kids setting off some fireworks or it was actually a gunshot.
Well, the thing
And-
that I think is good about false alarms is it puts you into training mode.
Yeah.
There's nothing bad about that. Nothing bad about responding and practicing.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine.
But I mean, you don't have to be afraid of false alarms because I mean, during this show, there's a lot of noise, like you said, but we don't get
Nothing's going off. That's right.
we're not getting a lot of false alarms.
Yeah.
So it is very robust. But yeah, I mean, we have to be realistic. We don't promise 0 false alarms. That would be silly to do.
So talk to me a little bit about how you came up with the idea for this aggression module. That is interesting. There's far more domestic violence, far more people punching each other in the nose
Yes.
than there are shooting each other, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I could see that, and I talked to the boss a minute ago about this. I could see this application in a private capacity being employed in homes with domestic violence to try to change the behavior. Things like that.
Well, I'm wondering if that I haven't really looked at that case
You
yet.
see, it'd have to be like a court order. The court would have to say, you know what? You want to stop hitting your wife and yelling and screaming? I'm putting this in your house. If you don't like it, you're going to jail.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And
Well,
that's a controlled environment where you know for sure if somebody's yelling and screaming or whatever.
I'm not an expert on this
Yeah,
topic.
yeah.
I would say leave him, but
No, that is a better way to do it, is to leave.
Yeah.
You're right.
yeah. But what we do see is in retail, in banks, in public transport, social security offices. People come and complain about their benefits.
Oh, yeah, they get mad about everything. The
They
government,
got-
yeah. Okay.
You got a lot of these type of situations where this could be a very useful tool. Parking garages, where maybe a lady is harassed. Based on the scream of the lady, you can immediately direct the right camera to the situation and see if something's happening.
I worked in a campus as a police officer my last tour, and we had these panic button stations, and it's in the middle of the parking lot. And guess what? What had always happened? The guy didn't attack you when you're next to the push button. They attack you when you're not next to the push button.
Yeah.
And if you can't get to the panic station, you get attacked, right? But here, she could just scream and have that picked up and
Absolutely.
have somebody deploy.
Absolutely. What we've learned from the police, the panic buttons, either the ones that you describe or the panic buttons in shops or banks, people don't actually use them in the right way.
Right.
They either don't press them or press them too late. And with aggression detection, you don't have to do anything. The system will automatically detect it.
Well, I mean, in a bank robbery, somebody might come in and yell, "This is a robbery,"
Yeah.
and not shoot a gun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got him. You got something,
Absolutely.
because banks are super quiet, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's whispering about their money. So the guy that yells about his money is either pissed off, or he's robbing the bank, maybe.
And you want to know in
brilliant.
both situations.
Now, is this being accepted socially? You're from Europe.
Yes.
You're from Holland,
Yes.
the Netherlands. And I have some friends of mine over there that talk about all the different laws. It's very interesting. It's not the same as the United States. Do you find this is more accepted in different cultures for security?
Well, the interesting thing is that often we get asked about, well, how about privacy? Are you recording conversations? Are you listening to people's
Yeah.
words? And the answer is no. We're not recording any audio. We're just analyzing the sound pattern. We're
That's
using
important. Not recording, you're listening to it, and only recording if it's an anomaly.
exactly
Right.
And actually, we've talked to many different privacy authorities in different countries, and they actually support our system because they say it improves the privacy.
Okay, good.
Because you don't need to watch the camera 24/7 anymore. You don't need to record the video 24/7. You only need to watch when there's a potential incident. And in that way, it's actually improving privacy.
Now, any applications for law enforcement? I'm not talking about a city deployment where you're putting it on poles for the police department, but maybe a mobile deployment in a tactical situation.
Yeah, no, we're
I'm thinking of the Brussels bombing or something. They got to roll out and start monitoring the situation. Could that help them?
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, we do have our explosion detection system, and it will help in alerting the police as soon as possible. Because people who are there, who hear they're in panic, they're fleeing They're
Right.
looking after their own safety. They're not calling 911 right away.
That's right.
That will take it. That will take a minute or 2 or 3. So if you can already alert the police right there and then, it will save valuable time.
It's all about
and actually
time.
lives.
In
Yeah.
fact, I always tell people the first thing you need to put into your safety security program is timing.
Yeah.
If my wall is thicker, it takes you longer to get through it. That's about time. It's not about fortification because eventually you're going to get through my wall. On the other side of it, if I can respond faster, I can probably stop most of the problem.
Yep.
But if it takes me 50 minutes to get there, it's out of control, right?
Absolutely.
So this is really, I think it's definitely an early alert system, but I'm also thinking it's a little bit of a prevention system, because if you get there faster, you're preventing the next thing.
Well, and that's interesting that you mentioned that, because we know that 90% of physical aggression starts verbally.
It does, right? That's right.
So if you can already alert based on the verbal stage, you can actually prevent it to become physical.
And listen, I've been in plenty of confrontations where, especially two guys, right? Policeman, everybody wants to kick your ass. First thing you do is start aggressive, and they raise their voice, and whoever has the louder voice, somebody cries chicken and backs out and says, okay, I'm not going to get in a fight. But eventually, if you got two alphas, they're going to say, I don't care how loud you yell, let's do it. And it does take a little while. Normally, you don't walk up and punch somebody.
No.
Normally,
No.
right? So that's a very good point. I think it does prevent a physical altercation if you can detect it. And anything you can do to get ahead of a problem and avoid it is the best thing to do. You know, so I'm really happy to hear it. This is a really fascinating conversation, Derek, and I really thank you for coming on Security Guy Radio. And if you're ever in LA, come by Hollywood and let's do some demos and stuff. This is
Absolutely.
great.
Thank
Thanks
you
for coming
very
on
much.
the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was great. All right, that was about